You're listening to The Endless Party with your hosts,
Megan Elijah Armstrong. Hi everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Endless Party. We are so glad that you are here with us today, and we're super excited to share an important principle that I've really implemented into my life.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a good one. So, first, I think I want to just explain that something I've had to work a lot on is, this principle of comparison. And just teaching myself that comparison is for sure the thief of joy, and that there's no place for it in your life.
Pretty sure that's Teddy Roosevelt, by the way.
That comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Anyways, and I think it's something we actually all struggle with from time to time. I think
Especially
so.
those who are on social media.
That, and I think women struggle with it.
Everybody struggles with it. Social
with
media, especially in this day and age, is a big time one because 99% of what you see is a facade.
Yeah. Anyways, and this principle really helps you to combat just the damage that comparison can do in your life, and it also helps you just to treat other people better and to treat yourself better. Anyways, so this principle is the scarcity versus abundance principle.
Yeah, and I guess the principle in and of itself, right, is just the understanding of what it means of, now correct me if I'm wrong, Meg, but it's basically your happiness isn't predicated on the fact that something that you possess, or it's not predicated on whether or not you possess something.
Yeah, that's
kind of.
Yeah,
right?
That's definitely for sure part of it.
So like, I mean, to be honest, you got to explain this a little more because I think you have more experience with it, because I think this is one that comes from Stephen Covey.
Yeah, it does. I was going to say that too.
Yeah.
So anyways, this principle is that you can either choose to believe that there isn't enough in this world, that every resource is scarce, so that money is scarce, that friendship is scarce, that love is scarce, or you can choose to believe that there's an abundance of resources on this earth, that there is enough money, there is enough success, there is enough love to go around, so that every people can have, and every person on this earth can have an abundance of money, of success, of love, of friendship. And so what it helps you do is it just, you don't ever have to have more than somebody to feel good about yourself. For example, some people, for example, you might walk into a room and be like, I have to be the most put together person in this room with the most perfect outfit and looking flawless for me to feel good about myself in this room. I have to be the prettiest. And if I'm not the prettiest in this room, then I don't feel good about myself. But the abundance principle is no, there is enough beauty in this world for everybody to be beautiful, and that doesn't have to take away from your beauty. Just because there's another beautiful person on the street doesn't make you less beautiful. It just means there's another pretty person, and that's okay. And that's just something with beauty, but it can be implemented into money too. It's I don't have to walk into a room or walk into a family situation or have more money than you to feel good about myself. If you have more money than me or I have more money than you, it doesn't matter, because I believe that there's enough money and enough resources in this world for both of us to be successful. And when you have more money, it doesn't take away from what I've worked for in my finances, Yeah,
for sure. So I think actually a big portion of this actually comes from my understanding of what it means to be a truly successful person, right? And if any of you have ever met somebody who is truly successful, usually they are healthy, they're happy, they have good relationships, they have good business, they have a lot of money. All of these things kind of go hand in hand, right? Success, truly successful people are successful in all areas of their life. It's not just one. But here's what's interesting. Truly successful people also are never what's the word? Are never intimidated or envious when somebody else has success. And that's actually very true within even athletics growing up. Like I looked at it with some of my closest friends back in high school. One of them I traveled to New York with my senior year, and I was competing in the 5K for the indoor national championship, and he was competing in the 2 mile. And the 2 mile was incredibly fast. It ended up being like such a fast race. Unfortunately, I wasn't in it because I was like, wow, that was awesome. But he ended up taking second, but he ran like, I want to say it was the number 2 time that year in the 2 mile. And the only kid who had the number 1 time beat him by like half a second, right? Yeah. But after that race, I was just like so happy for him, right? I was not in the slightest envious or jealous. I was slightly like sad because I wasn't able to compete in the race because it was awesome.
Yeah, just that you missed the opportunity.
Yeah, I was like, man, that would have been like, really fun, you know?
Yeah.
But to me, I think that's the mark of a truly successful person. And he did the same thing, right? I ended up winning the 5K, and he was overjoyed for me. You know, he cheered me on the entire time. And so I look at that, and it's like, I think that's what marks truly successful people, is the understanding that just because somebody else is successful doesn't mean you can't be successful.
And it doesn't take anything away from you.
Well, yeah.
Nothing.
Well, and that's the understanding of abundance, right? Okay, so let's say your best friend just earned $1 million in sales. Okay, well, there's still products to be sold.
There's
right?
still a way
for you to make $1 million. It doesn't take away from you and your potential just because somebody else is striving to live up to theirs. And that's really this whole understanding. Like, even in a relationship like mine and Meg's, right? Like, we always are trying to help each other grow, which is so much fun. But never once when Meg ends up reading a book before me or shares a principle before me or implements a practice before me, and I'm like, man, like, I can't do that now because she took that success principle, right? It's like, oh my gosh, like, this is so cool. Like, thank you for sharing this with me. I'm going to implement it now. And we both can reap the rewards in abundance.
Yes. And we're better off for it. And what's so cool is that abundance fosters abundance, whereas scarcity will foster scarcity. So the more that people believe in success and believe in abundance, and the more success we can generate in this world, like, the more opportunity for success there is, which is so interesting. But the more envious we are, and the more that we believe that there isn't opportunity out there, and if I don't get this opportunity, you know, then it's the end of the world, and there's nothing out there for me, then it's like there's going to become less and less opportunities.
Well, yeah, and we could even put a whole nother podcast on the idea of belief, right? When somebody comes to you and says, oh, there's no jobs out there, I've applied for this many jobs, and I've been there, you know, and I totally understand that. But in reality, it's like, well, I wonder if that's just your mindset.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
You're not getting a job because at the end of the day, you don't think you can get a job.
And you don't think there's a job out there.
Yeah.
But believe that there is.
Yeah, and then you'll end up with the job, right? Because they're in abundance. And it's just that understanding that Meg was saying is, if you believe that the resources at your disposal are scarce, then they are. But if you believe that they're abundant, then they are.
So fascinating.
Like, it's actually kind of cool because there's this, we actually just read one of these stories, like, it was in Chicken Soup for the Soul, and there was these twin boys, and they were born, one of them was just an optimist, the other one was a pessimist, and for the optimist, they gave him nothing but manure for his birthday one day, like, just horse poop. The other one got everything he could ever imagine, you know, and so the pessimist was like, oh, like, I can't even remember what he said. I wish I remembered what he said. But basically,
so
something along the lines that was just like, yeah, like, whatever. Like, I guess this is blah, 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 blah. The other one, the optimist, was in there having a heyday, throwing poop everywhere. And then he's like, you guys can't fool me where there's this much manure. There's got to be a pony somewhere.
So cool.
Right? And so it's this understanding, like, he literally was given poop for his birthday.
But he found abundance.
But he found abundance in the concept of, like, getting this poop.
Yeah.
You know? And the other one got everything he could have ever wanted.
But all he saw was scarcity.
Yeah.
He didn't see it as enough.
Yeah, and so that's, like, the principle that we're trying to share today is this understanding of, like, it never takes away from you when somebody else is successful. In fact, if you use it as a way to encourage them and believe in them and help them, you yourself will become more successful.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think the most successful people I can think of, you know, are those people who...
They're never threatened.
No. They're cheering everybody on, and it's genuine. And I can say that, like, I've worked on this principle enough that when good things happen to other people, I really am genuinely happy for them.
Oh, I agree.
I'm so glad that something good is happening and that they've got a win, because I'm like, that's awesome. Take this win. Like, go you, like, own it, you know? And I'm like, but that doesn't take away anything, like, doesn't take anything away from me.
Mm-hmm.
To, you know, to say, oh my goodness, let me, like, rejoice and celebrate.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And this principle just all comes from that you just have to choose to believe, you know, that all resources on this earth, and I'm not just talking about, like, physical resources, but, you know, even love and friendship and all of that, like, they are in abundance. There is enough of everything to go around for every person. Every person can be successful in terms of finance, in terms of family, in terms of friends, in terms of anything they want. It's out there. Mm-hmm. You just have to believe it.
No, absolutely. And I would actually emphasize this understanding of this. I mean, for example, right, Meg opened with this a little bit, but comparison is the thief of joy. And the minute you start to compare yourself to others, the minute you lose joy, right? It steals joy from you. But
can I interrupt really fast?
Sure.
I remember why. There's two reasons why. One, because you'll look at somebody and see that they have something you don't have, and that can foster envy. Two, you might look at someone and think you're better than that person, and that creates, like, that gives you a big
vanity.
Head. What? And that creates
vanity.
That creates vanity. That's why comparison's bad. Okay,
no, that
sorry.
makes sense.
Anyway.
But it's just this understanding, right? It's like, change your perspective. You know, like, right now we are currently living in an apartment where there's mice in our ceiling.
I was going to bring this up in this podcast.
Right? We thought it was a squirrel for so long, and Meg ended up naming it Chippy. But
we thought it was Chippy the squirrel, and because, like, it's up at night,
loud,
and it's gnawing on
and it
everything.
sounds big, but it turns out it's just a lot of mice. So we, like, contacted our landlord, and this is a side note. I don't know why they're called landlords. Like, they are not a lord. Like, I feel like like our landlord is my age, and I'm like, he's my landlord. Like, really? I feel like we got to find a better name for that, because even when I own rentals someday, I'm not gonna be a lord, right?
The lord of this property.
Like, this is so weird to me. But anyways, so we have them in our roof, right? And they are so loud and, like, munching on stuff
and nocturnal.
And, like, yeah. But my whole point is this understanding of abundance and scarcity, right? We could look at this apartment as the worst place to live, and that it is just horrible and XYZ. Or we could look at it in an abundance factor and be grateful that we have a home and a roof over our head in the first place. And so it's just that understanding, right? Wherever you are, view your life with abundance. View yourself as abundant, right? If you're, you know, whatever you are striving to accomplish or whatever you are working towards, like, view it as an abundance.
Yes. Believe in a life of prosperity.
Yeah, believe that you can have that success that other people are, like, getting and obtaining all the time. Like, you can do it too. It's not scarce. It's not just unique to them. Like, you can take part of that.
Yeah. That's just so beautiful. And something that's just interesting to me too is how I think we've always believed in this principle our whole marriage. And so we've only been married 2 years, but it's crazy to see just the abundance in our lives. And don't get me wrong, like I said, our apartment,
it's ghetto.
But, like,
but I love it.
But the things that we have in abundance matter so much to us. For example, it's like, I don't think we've gone into details, but we lost 2 babies in the 2 years, but also now we're blessed with 2 babies. I'm like, that's abundance. It happened. I'm like, we have more family members now that we get to love, and like,
Yeah.
and we have so much love. And I would say that, like, crazy enough, like, our resources have increased. We have more things than we did.
Uh-huh.
Like in terms of like possessions
Well, not
than when
only
we were
just
first
possessions. I
married.
think it's just
Knowledge,
understanding, love, commitment, loyalty. Like all of those things are in abundance. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this understanding. It's like, yeah, it's only been 2 years, but I feel that we've been able to create a life of abundance because of our attitudes and our mindsets. And here's what's crazy, right? Is you guys can do the same thing. Like, we're living in an apartment with mice in our ceiling currently. And we're in a basement, mind you. So it's their floor and our ceiling, right?
So
And so I'm
it's
like,
not our fault either, okay? This is
no.
the mice.
But so my whole thing is like, if we can do it here in this apartment, anybody can do it.
I know.
Like,
if we could do it.
And that's what's so
then
cool about
anyone
this
can.
understanding of abundance, right? Like, anybody can partake of it.
Yeah. Beautiful. I think that is everything.
That covers everything, guys.
I wanted to share today. So thank you guys for tuning in. And also, if you want to reach out to us, we would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Seriously. We would love to.
You can email us or reach out to us on Pinterest or Instagram or
find
our
us at the
website.
Endless Party, wherever. And we would love to get back to you. So thank you so much for being here. And we will talk to you guys next time.
Sweet. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Endless Party. Please feel free to join us over at our website, theendlessparty.com, for more of our content. Also, we would love to hear from you. Leave some comments and let us know what you're interested in us talking about.
Seriously, like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, whatever it is the platform says to do, so that we can keep partying together.